Welcome to the stream, everyone. My name is Brian Craig. This is where MAGA comes to talk. Well, the Biden regime, they just are completely out of touch with reality. And yet again, the Biden have just gone so far over the line. They started just this total destruction. It's almost as if they're conceding the election, really, when you think about it, because to throw a fundraiser with Obama and Clinton and Biden on stage while there's a funeral going on for right down the street from where the fundraiser is for a New York City police officer, Officer Dillard, who was murdered, and you're partying. And now they've done this for Easter. Easter, holiest day for Christians, and they do this. The Trans Day of Visibility has been declared by Biden for Easter Sunday. And we'll go through this article. President Trump has responded. If you're watching live, you're welcome to call in and share your thoughts about this. The toll-free number to call in live is pinned to the top of the chat. But this Trans Day of Visibility being declared by Biden on Easter Sunday is a direct attack on Christians. I understand not everyone's a Christian. I'm a Christian. Most Americans are. Not everyone's a Christian. Not everybody recognizes or celebrates Easter. But to do something so blasphemous, so offensive, such a direct attack on the main religion of this country, which is Christianity, boy, we're in a whole nother space than we've ever been in this country before. Biden, I'll leave off the first word there. Biden has sparked outrage by declaring this Easter Sunday will also officially become Transgender Day of Visibility. Well, I got news for you. The transgender people are pretty visible. They're all over the place. They're school teachers. They're all over the TV, geez. And the most prominent transgender person, by the way, is MAGA, Caitlyn Jenner. But he's got, they've got their constituency. The White House doubled up backlash as it also, now it even gets worse. To take the most important day of Christianity and turn it into this was not bad enough. They've gone a step further. Listen to this. The White House doubled up backlash as it also banned religious imagery in submissions from children of military families taking part in the traditional Easter egg roll event, as critics branded the moves an attack on Christianity. No doubt about that. Now, this part here, they've banned religious imagery. This imagery, this is Biden, has banned religious imagery in submissions from children of military families taking part in the traditional Easter egg roll event. So what does that mean? Does that mean you're not allowed to pray? They can't put Jesus on an egg? They can't ask for a prayer? What can they wear a cross? Can they put a cross on an egg? I mean, what does that mean? And if someone violates it, what would happen? If a child violates this, will they go after the parent? These are military families, right? If a child puts a cross on an egg or a prayer or something like this happens, will they go after the parent that's in the military? I would not be surprised. Who is running this country? Who are their constituents? Everything you see Biden do, attack on Christianity from the president of the United States, this has never happened before. Not at this level, okay? Bringing rapists and murderers into this country from the southern border. Supporting terrorists instead of Israel. The list goes on. Throwing parties and fundraisers down the street from a fallen New York City police officer who was murdered by a Democrat. I promise you that guy's a Democrat. It just doesn't stop. When you think you've seen and heard it all, they find another way to tell the American people where to go. Vivek Ramaswamy led the charge. I wonder how Biden came up with that date by having Easter clash with the Transgender Tribute Day. Republican House Speaker Mike Johnson slammed Biden for betraying the central tenet of Easter and said the American people are taking note of the outrageous tradition-busting moves. There's no doubt about it. And I got to tell you, there's you look, the lawfare. Mike Johnson, I agree with Marjorie Taylor Greene. He's got to go. He's got to go, okay? And, you know, Mike Johnson should have this government shut down instead of making deals with the Democrats on funding the government. You know, what's going on in this country is a complete attack against everything that makes this a country. Transgender Day on Easter, parties, instead of going to the funeral of a cop, erasing the southern border, transporting the entire criminal population of South America into the United States. When will it end? March 31st, and this is an official order that he did. March 31st has become the official Transgender Day of Visibility. Easter Sunday will not fall on that day again for at least the next decade. Yeah, but it did this year, and it is not an accident. We don't know what day Easter is going to be in 9 years, but they know what day Easter was going to be on this year. You know, and yeah, that's it. And they no one around them said this isn't a good idea. They knew that this fell on Easter. This is a big F-U to the American people. That's what this is. It's a big F-U to the American people. They know exactly what they are doing. This is not a coincidence. And this is a high-profile event because he had that incident where the Easter Bunny was giving Biden orders, remember? As he declared Easter Sunday would also be Transgender Day of Visibility, Biden, a devout Catholic. Can we take devout out of that? I mean, he's a fallen Catholic. Supports abortion on demand, all this stuff. Biden also delivered an attack on Republicans while stressing that transgender Americans are part of the fabric of our nation. Really? Part of the fabric of our nation? What does that mean? I know that transgender people have taken the dreams and lifetimes of work and dedication from female athletes like this swimmer. You know, have you ever known somebody that's been on a swim team? They spend more time in the water than out of it. Kids, you know, when you get up to the college level and the Olympic level of swimmers, male or female, they've been in the pool their entire lives from the time they were little kids. Their parents have spent tons of money, dedicated time, and everything else. You know, and these swimmers, they meet like at 6 in the morning to start practice and everything else. A lifetime of dedication. Then you have this transgender cheater who's like 200 and something in the rankings among the boys, says, well, I can't win. I'm a girl today, and now I'm going to, you know, steal the dreams away, take all the hard work away from these girls and the sacrifices of their parents. It seems that's the fabric of our nation. You know, I don't talk about this transgender stuff too much, and the reason I don't is because I thought it was so wackadoodle that it would just naturally fade away. And look, they're quadrupling down on it. You know, but I'll tell you, when we have President Trump back, when he's sworn in for a second and non-consecutive term in January, a lot of this stuff is going to go away because we have the sleaziest, slimiest, most corrupt man to ever be president in the United States in the White House right now. That's senile old coot Joe Biden. And we just don't have moral leadership. We don't have decent moral leadership. We will. And when you have moral leadership, like with President Trump, see that how they spent the whole week of Holy Week making fun of the Lee Greenwood Bible that Trump is asking people to support. And then they do this. It's been a week of bashing Christians. And they did it during Holy Week, And believe me, the Bidens, since they know it's Easter, and the White House knows it's Easter too, because they got to take him to Mass tomorrow to make it look like they support Christianity. So believe me, they know it's Easter, and they did that. This was done on purpose. Biden says transgender Americans are part of the fabric of our nation. Out of the celebrities of today, throughout American history, he says they're the fabric of the nation. And I'm not talking about these celebrities that we have today. In American history, can somebody tell me, what is the major contribution that's been made by a transgender American? Do you know of one? Who is the most famous historical American transgender figure? I mean, the only one that I could think of, and that this is a maybe, would be like J. Edgar Hoover, because there's been all those rumors about him. To be part of the fabric of the nation, you would have to have contributed something, right? And, I don't know. Back to this. This is Biden. This is the press release from the White House here. But extremists are proposing hundreds of hateful laws that target and terrify transgender kids and their families. What are they talking about? What child is terrified? I think maybe the only ones that are terrified are the ones that are being forced into this lifestyle. It used to be there's these fads that a lot of parents have had in the past. Snickerdoodles. Everybody wanted the snickerdoodle. And these things. Now what all the millennial parents want, and Gen Z parents, because they're parents too now, they want a transgender kid. This is still the press release. Silencing teachers, banning books, and threatening parents, doctors, and nurses with prison for helping parents get care for their children, Biden said in a press release. Parents, the only parents that I know of that have been threatened are parents who went to these school board meetings in Virginia. And Biden and Merrick Garland had the feds in the parking lot taking down their numbers like they're mobsters. What parents are being threatened? So far as silencing teachers, they're talking about this don't say gay thing in Florida. That's a myth. There's no don't say gay law in Florida. The Republicans in Florida and DeSanctimonious, who, wore high heels through the whole campaign, which is kind of ironic, right? The anti-transgender Governor DeSantis was wearing high heels through the whole primary. But what they did is they said no discussion of sexual orientation or sex education. And by the way, that goes for heterosexual too. Until after the third grade. It doesn't belong anywhere, by the way, in the public school. But you can't talk about it until after the third grade. Teachers aren't being silenced. We have a curriculum. Curriculums are approved by school boards, by the state, right? You don't have teachers. Since when do teachers make up their own curriculum? Teachers should be able to go in and preach transgender ideology. What would happen if a teacher went in their classroom with that Lee Greenwood Bible that President Trump has been promoting this week and started reading from that Lee Greenwood Bible in class? Do you think you can't silence teachers, or would they silence that teacher? That teacher would get in more trouble than if they had sex with a student. All right. This is still the press release from the Obama-Biden White House. At the same time, an epidemic of violence against transgender women and girls. Where's this epidemic of violence against transgender women and girls? I've seen some violence against girls in school, white girls being attacked by black girls, these racial attacks that the press are covering up. I've seen that. I've seen a girl, Laken Riley, who was raped and murdered by one of the illegals Biden brought here. I've seen girls like that be victimized. Where's this violence against the transgender women and girls he's talking about, this epidemic? This is the Biden press release. At the same time, an epidemic of violence against transgender women and girls, especially women and girls of color. Where is this? Do you know where it is? In their imagination. Continues to take too many lives. Let me be clear, all these attacks are un-American and must end. Well, we're all against violence against people, right? except the Democrats. The Democrats are in favor of violence. Back to the press release. This is the Biden press release, okay? Today we send a message to all transgendered Americans. You are loved. You are heard. You are understood. You belong. You are American. You are America. Oh my goodness. You are America? They may be American, but that is America? And my entire administration and I have your back. The move quickly angered conservatives. Tom Cotton said that Biden's open disdain for Christians is not an accident. Tommy Tuberville branded Democrats a satanic cult. Yeah. Jim Banks, he's running for the Senate, called it an absolute disgrace. What a slap in the face of hundreds of millions of Christians in America and across the globe. Voters won't forget this in November. No doubt about it, between this and the fundraiser during Officer Diller's funeral in New York, I mean, the Democrats, they couldn't try to lose this election anymore. I mean, what they're doing is very self-destructive, but they're so wrapped up, in this weird world they're in, they don't see what we see. But we see it. Marjorie Taylor Greene said, there is no length Biden and the Democrats won't go to mock your faith and to thumb your nose at God. We know that Christ is king and God will not be mocked. Just like we know Joe Biden isn't really the one calling the shots in the White House. That's the great Marjorie Taylor Greene. If you're new to my channel, make sure you subscribe. You'll love my content. I live stream every day of the week. I take live calls during my live streams. I upload my podcast here and a lot of other things too, including vlogs. It comes as the White House drew controversy before the Easter egg roll tradition, which is said to be held on Monday at an event that dates back to 1877. Yes, there he is. Now, that's when we had respect in the White House. Now, right now, this picture, when we have next Easter and Trump is the president, if they had the camera angle here, Barron's head would be way up here on the picture above, right? Because he's like 7 feet tall now. Part of this year's Easter egg roll tradition is centering on celebrating our military families. But the military families have been ordered that there'll be no religion, just transgender stuff at the Easter egg roll, right? How do you respect the military families by telling them that this very holy religious Christian day, there's not to be any religion there. This is a day of transgender celebration. Oh, my goodness. Children will be banned from designating their eggs with anything that promotes bigotry, racism, hatred, or harm against any group or individual, or promotes discrimination based on race, gender, religion, nationality, disability, sexual orientation, or age. What if they put a Jesus thing on their egg? Would that, see, they consider Christianity to be bigotry. Don't you? You understand that? They do. Now, our great President Trump has responded. Let's see what the president has to say. I'll leave off that first word. President Trump slammed Biden for his appalling and insulting decision to ban children from submitting religious Easter egg designs, while declaring this Easter will officially become Transgender Day of Visibility. Biden sparked widespread backlash after making the tradition-busting move, with his expected 2024 election opponent leading the outrage. Sadly, these are just two more examples of the Biden administration's years-long assault on the Christian faith, said Trump Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt in a statement today. We call on Joe Biden's failing campaign and the White House to issue an apology to the millions of Catholics and Christians. By the way, we Catholics are Christians too, okay? Just so you know, okay? It's Catholics and Protestants. We're all Christians, okay? Across America, who believe tomorrow is for one celebration only, the resurrection of Jesus Christ. Absolutely. Oh, here's the president's statement. It is appalling and insulting that Joe Biden's White House, let me see if I can blow this up. Okay, prohibited children from submitting religious egg designs for their Easter art event and formally proclaimed Easter Sunday as Trans Day of Visibility. Sadly, these are just two more examples of the Biden administration years-long assault on the Christian faith. We call on Joe Biden's failing. Okay, that's what I just read from Carolyn Leavitt. Okay, it's the same statement. So we need to read that again. This is really twisted. You know, when I first saw this story, I thought this has got to be a joke. All right, they got to be punking us. They wouldn't do this on Easter, right? All the other days of the year, Transgender Visibility Day just happens to be on Easter. Let's see here. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Then there's just a reprint of everything I shared. You know, here's the reality of the situation, okay? This is bad. But you know what they're doing is they're making Trump's return that much easier. They really are. Richard Davis, thank you for the super chat. Richard Davis. You know, because what's happening here is they're pushed so far to the left, they've fallen off a cliff. This is not where the American people are, okay? And, you know, and you see there's the three biggest issues: border, crime, and inflation. And border and crime are related. Border, crime, inflation, right? People go to the grocery store, it costs a boatload of money. People put gas in the car, it's expensive. Okay, I know it's come down a little bit, but they drove it up so high, it's still high. You know, crime is taking place everywhere. Illegals are getting more money and benefits than veterans in this country. They kicked veterans out of a home in New York to put illegals in there. They're, in these blue cities, they're closing down youth centers where in the inner city where kids go and play and hang out and are safe after school. They kick those kids out of that safe area and do what? Put illegals in there. And then they cover up the windows so nobody can see who's in there. They took kids out of a school and put illegals in there. Here in Florida, we got a measles outbreak. There's hardly a day goes by that you don't see a story of at least one illegal that Biden brought here who's killed someone or raped someone or both, right? You know, and you look at the 3.5 years of this sick, twisted weirdo, corrupt sleazeball that's running the country right now, the Obama-Biden regime. Can you point to one thing that they've done that's been a positive benefit to the American people in the United States? No. They don't care about the American people. They care about the South American people, you know. And this thing here on Easter, believe me, people are going to flip out about this when they find out about it. You know, it's the weekend. So, you know, a lot of people that don't follow the news regularly like I do and most of you do don't know about this yet, but they'll know about it come Monday because people in media like me are going to be talking about it today, on Easter, and on Monday. And they're going to hear about this, and they're going to be pissed off. They're going to be disgusted by it because it is a direct attack. You see everything that's going on here. You know, President Trump's return is so important for so many reasons. But to sum up what Trump's main mission in his second non-consecutive term is to save American civilization and to save Western civilization, because the Democrats are wiping out all of Western civilization, and we're the leaders of Western civilization in the United States. I mean, think about this. If God help us, if Trump is not reelected in November, the Democrats, these sick, twisted weirdos we're talking about here that are running the country right now, would take a Trump defeat as a mandate of support for all this wackadoodle nutbaggery, that stuff they got going on. And it would even get worse than it is today because they would feel they had a mandate, that the people were behind them. You know, so, you know, I was talking this morning, there's, you know, look at Michael Rappaport. Michael Rappaport's going to vote for Trump. He was like the biggest Trump hater. He hated Trump more than Robert De Niro and Kathy Griffin. And he is out there. He's going to vote for Trump now. And the reason is, in large part, because of all these things that we're talking about today. So they think they got Trump on. They always think they got Trump on something. So President Trump, let me pull this up. Donald Trump slammed by White House for sharing an image of Joe Biden hogtied in bed of a truck while returning from the cops' wake. Good luck trying to turn people against Trump. Okay, let me pull up the video. And let me see if I can get the video to play. Hold on. There's a commercial I got to wait to play through first, and then we'll play the video. If they think this is going to win them anything, they are dreaming. But, you know, they say Biden's not running the country. Yeah, it's Obama. And all these things that are going on have Obama's signature on it. Because he's behind the scenes, he's more emboldened to promote and allow things that he didn't want to be the front man for in his first 2 terms. Let me pull this video up. Okay. Hold on. So here's the video. And they think this is what's going to turn things around into Biden's favor. That's it. You can't, you know, when these trucks drove by, they saw MAGA flags, they saw Blue Lives Matter flags, they saw American flags, and they just filmed it. First off, they didn't see that hogtied thing. They just saw these MAGA guys, these Blue Lives Matter guys driving. They filmed the video and put it up there. That's it. That's what happened. Okay? They didn't see, and you can tell the truck that with that image on it, it was behind them. They didn't know it was there. In fact, it goes by so fast, you really can't even tell that it's there. I mean, look at that. Well, see, that was the one they saw. This one comes up behind them. Can't even tell what that is. I wouldn't have known what that was. Would you have known what that was? I wouldn't have known what that was. But they think they got something. Donald Trump posted a video on social media showing a hogtied Biden painted on the tailgate of a passing truck. The video was posted from Trump's ride back to his private jet after Jonathan Diller's funeral. You know, how would he have known what was on the tailgate of the truck that was behind him? And as I show you know, and you guys can rewind the video here. If you didn't know what that was, even knowing what it was, it's hard to tell what it is. And the media over the weekend, they're having meltdowns over this. Look at this. They you know, MSNBC, they don't think you should have former heads of the RNC working at MSNBC, right? It would damage their credibility as a news organization. Well, they hired Michael Steele, who was the head of the RNC, right out of his leaving the organization. And he's the resident Republican Trump hater. Let me pull this up. And they brought Michael Steele on today to talk about that image. Now, this girl here, this is Goldbar Menendez's daughter, okay? So her dad takes bribes, Menendez, Senator Menendez, Goldbar Menendez. This is Goldbar Menendez's daughter, and she's sitting here at this table with Michael Steele taking issue with President Trump. I think she needs to take care of home first. What do you guys think?
Could not be higher, right? And that even though we've become accustomed to his calls for political violence, it should.
Wow, Trump's bad guy, but her dad, who takes bribes, that's okay? Is that the Washington she approves of?
Never become normalized. I don't know if you remember Judge Esther Salas when she was on with Nicole Wallace talking about an
Goldbar Menendez's daughter
who you know came after her and ultimately killed her son. She's been doing a lot of work to make sure that
you gotta have no soul to be the daughter of a sitting United States senator who takes bribes from foreigners, right? You know, she has everything she has because of her dad's political connections. And she's on TV questioning the credibility, questioning the integrity, questioning the morality of Donald Trump. Are you kidding me? And look at her face. She's totally guilt-free conscious here.
Judge's personal information is not readily available, but she was very clear about what is at stake in the moment. I want to play a little bit of that sound.
How do you fix sort of the political culture so that there's a political punishment, not a political award, when a prominent figure like Donald Trump attacks the judge who will have his case?
I think at the end of the day, we can start changing the way we give that news, how do we cover it, how we talk about it.
And what is this new thing with having federal judges on talk shows?
I like to think, I read a book called The Four Agreements. I don't know if you ever Don Miguel Ruiz, and it talks about...
Oh, The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. Yeah, did you hear Nicole Wallace? Yes. Oh my goodness, she probably has that on the bookshelf right next to Mao's Little Red Book. I wonder if she really knows that book, Nicole Wallace, or is she just nodding in agreement, sucking up to this judge?
About the rules, but the first rule is be impeccable with your word. And I try every day to be impeccable with my word.
What does that include when that happens? What does that look like?
I mean, I think about what I'm going to say before I say it.
And the consequences.
Everything.
Imagine that.
I wonder if her dad thinks before he takes a gold bar as a bribe from a foreign agent. Do you think he thinks about that?
Well, that is something. That concept is way above Donald Trump's pay grade, or I think intellectual capacity, because...
Okay, now here's the former head of the RNC. And, here with Michael Steele, I believe that when President Trump talks, all of his words, no matter how blunt they may be, are very well thought out. Don't you? I know he talks casually. He doesn't have prepared speeches. He talks off the top of his head. But the words that he says, he thinks before he says them. And I think what he says is very well thought out, always, no matter how blunt it may be. That's just my opinion. But, they love these. They got, this in this segment. They don't like Ronna McDaniel. I don't like Ronna McDaniel. You probably don't either if you're MAGA. They got the former head of the RNC here, Michael Steele. They got Nicole Wallace, who was in the clip before, nodding in agreement of this book, the four whatever, that she claimed, that she's supporting. She worked for John McCain, and these are the kind of Republicans they like on MSNBC, traitor Republicans that have been bought off.
Something that concept is way above Donald Trump's pay grade, or I think intellectual capacity, because he's a visceral animal, politically,
he's an animal.
and in business. I mean, he feels that what he says is true.
Now, here's, again, look at the face of the daughter of Gold Bar Menendez, right? Trump's immoral. Trump's out of control. Trump is a terrible person. But Daddy-O here, she's not worried about him. In fact, in his first bribery trial, she went to court with him every day, by his side.
Truth. And I think that is part.
Who is this guy? And what's he wearing? Are they beginning Transgender Day early here on MSNBC?
Of the problem in this environment is
that a brooch?
He thinks it's truth what he's saying. The court system wants to give him the latitude that they would give folks out there to, not stifle their free speech. But
not stifle their free speech. There are Christians who have had their doors broken down because they chose to exercise their free speech, knocked down by Biden, by praying in front of Planned Parenthood abortion clinics, right? And they get arrested. Well, that's hate speech, they'll tell you. What they mean is you have a First Amendment right so long as you say what they agree with. Once you don't, look at how they just treat, they're talking about the First Amendment. Look at what happened with Ronna McDaniel, who, by the way, is a Romney. She's a never-Trumper. She probably is going to vote for Biden. She's been undermining Trump. She hates Trump. But they didn't want her First Amendment there, even after they hired her. They all rallied around and got management to fire her, Ronna McDaniel. But they're here talking about the First Amendment now. So over on CNN, let me cue this up. They're talking about it too. Okay. And this is the girl that Maggie Haberman's on the left, but the girl in the, I guess the purple, she's the one that had that great town hall meeting where Trump filleted her. She just got totally destroyed in that town hall months ago. And They promoted her after that. It was a beautiful town hall.
It was also, at one point, he was also, saying that Biden is directing a lot of this, and then saying, well, he didn't know if Biden was competent enough to direct it. But
he's right. He's both a mastermind and not capable of doing it.
Right, which was an argument. It contradicted itself in one sentence. But on his other claim he's been making, that he wanted to use this money to fund his presidential campaign. I mean, he had not made one utterance of that before Friday.
No, he posted this on Truth Social, and what was incredible about it was that he posted the idea that, I have all this cash, and I was going to use it to fund my campaign.
Well, yeah, he's always talked about this. These rallies he does, he rents out these venues as an example, right? He pays for his own money. That they're privatized. He has always used his own money to run, and they're acting like he just decided on Friday that he uses his own money to run. He has always used his own money to run. Always. Everybody knows this.
Utterance of that before Friday.
No, he posted this on Truth Social, and what was incredible about it was that he posted the idea that, I have all this cash, and I was going to use it to fund my campaign, but now I have to pay this judgment. And he has not funded his campaign since 2016, and even then, he only partially funded. He still raised donations in 2020.
By the way, I don't buy any of that. He hasn't spent any of his own money on this campaigning during the primary. Do you believe? I don't believe that. Do you believe that? No. Just on his jet fuel. Now, he's been spending a lot of his own money. Don't believe anything CNN says.
2020, he raised a significant amount of money as a sitting president. There has been no indication he was going to self-fund. He's not paying for his own lawyers right now. He is using donations from small dollar donors to pay for his lawyers and to pay for the lawyers of other people. So that was a pretty clear straw man. Now, if he suddenly decides he's going to put a lot of money into his campaign, then we'll all be surprised. He is at a huge disparity with President Biden in terms of...
Oh, he's at a huge disparity. Biden's raised money. Yeah, because, what the Democrats have going on is a money laundering campaign, right? You donate, these military industrial complex donors donate as much money as they can figure out that the law will allow them to donate, and then they get paid back 1,000 times over, maybe even 5,000 times over, with this proxy war against Russia we got going on in Ukraine. What Biden is doing is not political fundraising, right? It's a money laundering operation for the bribes. And, Bankman-Fried. I mean, look what Bankman-Fried, all this news about his sentencing. Bankman-Fried was involved in a money laundering operation with Zelensky with his cryptocurrency. Remember this? Zelensky bought about $100 million of Bankman-Fried's crypto, right? About $100 million. And then Bankman-Fried donated 35 plus, hold on, caller, over 35 million to the Democrats' midterm election campaign. Bankman-Fried funded the Democrat re-election campaign, right? Well, not really. We did. We gave the money to Ukraine. Ukraine gave it to Bankman-Fried. He donated 35 to 40 million to the Democrats, got to keep the rest for the money laundering fee. They got a whole money laundering operation going on with everything it is that they do. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian, it's John from Massachusetts.
Hey, John, what's up?
Hey, I've been, early today I was watching it was it might have been AI generated. It was, I like history and everything, and something of Adolf Hitler came up, and I just want to see what it would sound like in English and modern, interpretation of what it may sound like in the English form. Just one of the speeches, and I'm listening to this, and I'm just thinking, it's funny how the left always condemns this kind of history, and like in Germany too, we're seeing some of these countries that are part of the EU, and all these places, and we got corruption here in this country, and they're the ones that are starting to implement all of these things, just in a different form, repackaged in it, and doing all of it. And I got a friend who's actually going over to where the I'm not trying to jump too far away here, but jumped over to with the bridge, the accident in Baltimore, well, not accident, and he's doing some work on
the cover-up
that and stuff. I'd love to hear what he has to say about it when he gets back, because he wants to go there just to help out. And I'm looking at all these things, and it just everything is part and parcel to their ultimate goal, as you know. And it's absolutely disgusting how, when you look at like a movie like Leave the World Behind that's on Netflix, for example, and then they tell you right up front what they're doing. They had a scene at the beginning of that movie that was doing just that. This is way before the incident happened. They're telling us the quiet part out loud. Everything is happening here.
Yeah.
They're doing all these things, but this is all going back to that because this is what they want. This is their total control, globalists, all the
everything you see them doing, whether it's the fundraiser at the time of Diller's funeral in New York, this transgender day on the holiest Christian day of the year, Easter, they're totally out of touch with reality. They've totally lost touch with reality, which is dangerous. I mean, they're out of touch with reality, and they got a guy that has some type of severe dementia as the president, who's also corrupt. I mean, this is a scary time in this country. The only thing that's keeping the world safe is that Trump's coming back.
I mean, it's the beacon that we have in this darkness, because I mean, I can't, we talked about this before. The day that he gets back, the inauguration, that is going to be absolutely epic. What he's going to be able to do right before he gets up those steps.
It's going to be beautiful.
Everything that's going, every mandate he'll set, every policy he's going to destroy that Biden tried, Obama, I should say, did. I mean, I've been watching Benny Johnson and all these people crash, and the that Lizzo. It's funny. Lizzo, the next day on her Instagram or Twitter, I think it was Twitter, saying how much she hated herself basically, and that she wants to get off of this thing.
I'm not up to date on all the latest hip music and all, but is Lizzo really talented? I mean, Lizzo looks like the cashier that checked me out at Walmart the other day. I mean, I've seen that performance a couple times. I mean. Where's the talent? I'd rather see Bill Clinton with the saxophone than that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that was bad enough.
When Bill Clinton played the saxophone on Arsenio Hall when he was running for president the first time, I wonder if he was really playing that.
That's something, to
I never saw him play it again. Exactly. Did you ever see him play it again?
No.
And that show was recorded.
Yeah, it's so funny. I mean, I'm looking.
Think about that.
What's his? It's absolutely amazing because everything about these people are just overblown, fake, and just so much phoniness going on. So why wouldn't something like that? Yeah. Because we're trying to. Paint
if he really did, if Bill Clinton really played the saxophone, do you know how much money he could raise? Like at that fundraiser the other night with. Obama and Biden, if he played the sax and he came out and played something on the saxophone and Lizzo came out while Bill Clinton was playing the sax, you know how much money they could make off of that? I'm serious.
Oh, God.
So, and I've never seen him play it again. I bet you that was fake.
I mean,
because I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why I think it was fake. Two reasons. One, never saw it do it again. That was when he was still Governor Clinton. He was running. And that's when Toni Morrison said he was going to be the first black president because he was from the South and he played jazz on the saxophone. They used that to try to attract black support for him. And it was on Arsenio Hall.
And you know what? Anything they could do to try and humanize somebody like this, and it's like what you said before. I mean, when I think it's great. Speaking of the whole, Bill Clinton, and you go back to the election, with the George was going for Bush was going for a second, and then Ross Perot entered the fray. He had to stop this from happening, really. And I think that RFK, of course they're going to try and stop him from getting back, onto the ballot. They've already trying to do that right now in all these different states, even though he has the signatures he needs. And it's so funny. I think that they're shitting their pants. They're panicking because on the left
isn't that nice when I do these streams at home? You can say shitting in their pants. Can't say that when I'm on the radio. I'd have to hang up on you and dump you.
No,
I can even say it.
Yeah,
I can even say they're shitting their pants. It's pretty.
You can't say anything on the radio. I know. I want to, and you have to have that dump button ready. I know.
Do you know when I talk about this is true? You know when I talk about the arthritis was in this finger. My index finger, and this is the finger I use when people use profanity to dump the profanity. Yeah. And I've had to do it so many times over the years, it gave me arthritis. I wonder if I can get disability, Social Security disability for that. That's or workman's comp.
You could. You could get squatters' rights and everything else with it too.
Squatters' rights.
And I think it's your squatters' rights, right? And speaking of that asshole, that they got caught on TikTok. They finally ICE got him. I think that's hilarious. This thing about. By the way, thanks for the call.
I appreciate the call. Great call. By the way, if you're watching live, you're all welcome to call in. If you're watching live, the toll-free number to call in is pinned at the top of the chat. I want to just, before I move on to this next story, I want to talk about the squatters' rights thing. You know, Ron DeSantis, I'm pissed off at DeSantis. He betrayed Trump. He lied to all of us MAGA people in Florida, okay? But he did sign this squatters, this law against the squatters. Obviously, there's always been squatters. It's like the second oldest profession after prostitution, right? But is this a new epidemic? I mean, obviously they've been there, but is there more of it happening now because of the illegals and TikTok and such? Or has it always been this bad with the squatters? I don't know. I'm asking you guys if you know. But just because DeSantis is doing some good things, thank you, DeSantis, for, they're making it a felony to be a squatter in Florida, And also squatters, what they do when things are starting to, the countdown to them finally being evicted after everything happens, they destroy the house. Each incident is another felony count, each incident. Like if they break a window, felony count. If they break the hot water tank in a toilet, that's 2 more counts. So, that's good stuff. But it seems to me it's a bigger thing than it ever was before. Now, the mainstream media, the Never-Trumpers and the Democrats have been floating this bizarre fantasy that Michelle Obama is going to be the nominee. And Michelle Obama, who's never had a real job in her life, is going to come in and beat Trump, right? Well, there's a new poll out. Look at this. Look at this. Donald Trump beats Michelle Obama in 2024 election matchup 47-44. And isn't that something? Yeah. And this is the Daily Mail poll, so they're kind of liberal. Michelle Obama, let me see if they got it here. Yeah, here we go. Look at this. 44-47, Trump wins. And this is a liberal poll, and against Biden, he's ahead. So he beats them both. So I'm sorry. Michelle Obama is not going to save you guys. Not that she would do it anyway. She's never worked. She's never had a job. And she certainly is not going to start now. Now, if you're new to my channel, make sure you subscribe, you guys. You'll love this channel. If you're MAGA, you're really going to love this channel because not only am I the most pro-Donald Trump guy you're going to find anywhere, I will never criticize nor disagree with President Trump. And if you're not MAGA, you watch me long enough, you will be. I promise you. If you're already subbed, like the video. That helps out a lot. Now, Joy Reid, she got the Trump wig out again. Is this cultural misappropriation when she wears this Trump wig? And Joy Reid, I think she went to like Spirit Halloween and bought the Trump costume, and she kept the wig. Now, Joy Reid, look at this. She's talking about the fundraiser that Biden had during the funeral of Officer Diller, right? Trump can't do this. I'll tell you this. You put 2 arenas next to each other. One's a Trump rally. The other one has Clinton, Obama, and Biden. Who's going to get more people? He doesn't need backup singers, okay? He doesn't need some has-been act that used to be have hits on the charts. Trump shows up, boom. Okay? President Trump has been filling up, the President Trump venues, the crowd is only restricted by the fire codes. And he's been doing this since 2015. There's been 9 years of this. What act could be on tour for 9 years and fill up every venue to capacity? No musical act could do it, right? Oh, you may say Taylor Swift is filling things up right now. Let's see how she's doing in 10 years with people that have seen her sometimes multiple times. I mean, how many Trump rallies have you been to? I've been to a whole bunch of Trump speeches, many, many times. I've lost track. I've been to so many, Not even Elvis. Elvis did not tour for many, many years. He didn't tour. And he was going down a little bit. There's been no politician like Trump who's been able to do this. No other politician has ever been able to draw crowds like this. It's never happened before. Now, Joy Reid, though, she's sitting here again, former head of the RNC, even though they don't like heads of the RNC over there, Michael Steele again.
But I think to Jelani's point, it's just the fact that Joe Biden can gather former presidents to himself.
Well, you know, listen, our former Republican president we have is George W. Bush. George W. Bush is a war criminal. Would you want Trump on stage with George W. Bush? George Bush lied about weapons of mass destruction. George W. Bush created complete chaos in the Middle East. Millions of people are dead because of George W. Bush. Would you even want him on stage with President Trump? But forget about that. He works with the Democrats. So what? And, you know, so far as Biden and Clinton is so desperate to be on a stage and have people admire him. Let me see if I can find that video. I played this a few months ago. Let me see here. When Bill Clinton was in front of the bookstore, I don't know if I can find it right now. Let me see if I shouldn't do that. Let me see if I can find it. Let me see. He was in front of a bookstore, and no one recognized him. Remember this? I played this a few months ago. Let me see if I can find it. Let's see. I won't be able to find it now. I have to show. Maybe I'll show it on my next stream if I can't find it right now. Let's see. Yeah, here it is. Okay, look at this. So here's Bill Clinton. He's in front of a bookstore, and look, everyone's just walking by him. They don't know. Look, they're walking around him. They don't even recognize that that's a president of the United States. And he's wearing these bright pink shoes to stand out. Now look, he's walking into the bookstore. Here's a man with his little girl. The only guy there with them is a Secret Service man, right? I mean, that's really bad. That's bad, you know? And, you know, like that guy didn't even recognize him or see him and say, hey, if I was there, I'd go up and take a selfie with President Clinton with my MAGA hat on. But this guy, look at this. They walk around him, that woman there with her little girl, and the guy coming out of the bookstore with his little girl. They don't just say, look, this President Clinton, look, he doesn't even care. So, yeah, of course, Biden could get Bill Clinton to come out on stage with him. This guy is so desperate to have, look at this. They walk right around him. It's like, get out of our way, old man. And he stops in the middle of the sidewalk, desperate for attention, with his bright pink shoes on. That is sad. So Joy Reid's bragging that Biden was able to get this very desperate for attention Bill Clinton up there. Oh man, I would have taken a selfie with him and started streaming on my YouTube right there on my phone and have a conversation with him. He was so desperate, I probably could have had an exclusive interview with President Clinton about President Trump right there on that sidewalk. He was so desperate. But Joy Reid, oh yeah. I think he's so desperate for attention, Bill Clinton would go to a MAGA rally.
But I think to Jelani's point, it's just the fact that Joe Biden can gather former presidents to himself.
Oh, my goodness.
The fact that he can gather a celebrity presidents to himself. These are things that whatever else Donald Trump can do, he can gather Marjorie Taylor Greene to him.
So this is what they did after they had the fundraiser during Officer Diller's funeral, who was murdered by a Democrat. They went and did this podcast. That's Jason Bateman in the beard. This guy here, he's the guy that's on Lego Batman. And this guy, I forgot what shows he's in. You know. So they went and did a podcast interview, a comedy podcast. New York City police officers, funerals going on. They go and do a comedy podcast.
Himself, he can't do this.
Yeah. It's, you know.
What is this? Disrespect a fallen police officer? Yeah, Trump can't do that because he wouldn't do it.
Can't do this.
Yeah, it's, you know, I'm sitting here looking at this and you know, realizing, well, we've got one former living president in Donald Trump. That's what we got. And you
Does Michael Steele think that George Bush isn't with us anymore? He forgot about George W. Bush. He says we have one former Republican president. Right now, we have Bush, GW.
And you sit there and say, what do you do with that? George Bush is not coming to an event for Donald Trump.
He just remembered
George Bush is not going to get out there.
Yeah, George Bush is working with Liz Cheney to try to stop him. All right?
And bring a celebrity cadre and donors to Donald Trump. And that speaks volumes about this moment for the Republican Party, when the former president who led this party is not a factor on behalf of Donald Trump in his effort to regain the White House. And there's a reason for that. And it's not just, he's a rhino. It is substantively the point
George Bush is
both
a
you and
rhino.
Jelani are making about
George W. Bush said he voted for Hillary and he voted for Joe Biden. If that's not a rhino, I don't know what the hell is a rhino.
Summoning the power of the office, galvanizing that image for the country in a way that solidifies the reality and the power and the influence, but most importantly, the importance of the presidency as we understood it growing up, right? Yeah. And Donald Trump is all about tearing all that ish down, because
that's right.
He doesn't like it, because it requires of him something he cannot summon within himself. And that's discipline, focus, presidential timber. He's just a whacked out 2-bit carnival barker.
Okay. He's a 2-bit, worn-out carnival barker. You know, I want to go. I went through this on the stream this morning, but I want you guys to think about what happened this week. By the way, if you're new to my channel, welcome and subscribe. All right. Monday. What happened on Monday? Right. We woke up on Monday. Corrupt Judge Engoron and corrupt Letitia James. They were going to seize all of Trump's money from his bank account. Right. Then they were going to start seizing his property in New York. CNN was talking about President Trump being forced to borrow money from friends and sell off his homes. That was first thing in the morning on Monday. Trump goes into court. He comes out. He gets the bond reduced by 60%, and he's got the cash. He's got $500 million in cash available, and he's got the money for the bond. That same day, he made $1 billion that same day. That was Monday. Tuesday, he made a few billion more because, you know, the Trump stock's coming. So then by the way, I bought Trump stock. Any of you guys buy Trump stock? Everyone should own a piece of Trump stock. I mean, it's just cool to have. Thursday, the Forbes list comes out, and President Trump is richer than George Soros. And Mark Cuban, too. But he's richer than George Soros by Thursday. Monday, they were going to take all of his money. They were going to start seizing his property. They were going to force him to sell homes and do fire sales. That's Monday. And then Thursday, Forbes list comes out. He's richer than George Soros. That's a 2-bit carnival barker. How would a 2-bit carnival barker who doesn't think before he does anything, like they're saying here on MSNBC, how would he accomplish that? I mean, that's an absolute miracle.
He cannot summon within himself, and that's discipline, focus, presidential timber. He's just a whacked out 2-bit carnival barker who happened to luckily wind up in the right place at the right time to become president.
Really? And by the way, that's from Newsbusters, which you should all check out. Newsbusters.org is a very good conservative news site. PJ, that calls me all the time, he's a writer at Newsbusters. That's how he and I met. Oh, man, I tell you. But you know what? Trump's coming back. And when he comes back, he's going to have a mandate like no Republican president has ever had. He's going to have, you know, when President Trump comes back in January, he's going to have a mandate like FDR had when he was first elected, because the Depression, he came in, he got the whole, you know, the New Deal was all done in the first 100 days pretty much, right? because the country was hurting. We've got a depression of another kind going on in this country right now. But FDR had a massive mandate. And he got everything done that he said he was going to do. New Deal was bad and turned us into a socialist country. And the Democrat New Deal was racist. It excluded blacks. Did you know that? Blacks were excluded from the New Deal? That's right. President Roosevelt excluded blacks from the New Deal. But he got it all done in the first 100 days. That's when the 100 days became popular. And he had a mandate. Well, this president's going to have a mandate greater than that. Because the American depression that we're going through right now, some of it's financial, but the country is on the brink of collapse. You know, the country has been on the verge of collapse on a handful of occasions. The Great Depression, things could have happened. You know, the Communist Revolution could have happened. We could have lost everything. The Civil War, you know, and you look, there have been other times, but those are two big ones. And Lincoln and Roosevelt, they're wrong about Roosevelt, but Lincoln and FDR are put up there on these pedestals as great presidents because they came in and saved the country in times of just terrible crises. Well, that's what Trump's doing now, okay? And, you know, that's the way it is. And, you know, these Democrats have always tried to stop great Republicans. Remember, you know, the Democrat insurrection, the American Civil War. What happened? An American president was elected, the first Republican, Abraham Lincoln, and the Democrats tried to start their own country, started an insurrection. You know, so you know, and then when Lincoln was up for re-election, they ran a guy against him. The Democrats, the way that Michael Steele, you know, this rhino Republican, the way they're acting, this is how the Democrats have always been. A lot of people think that the Democrats are only this way because of Trump, that Trump does this to them. The Democrats have always been this way. You know, Ronald Reagan, the Democrats praise Ronald Reagan all the time. Even Obama, when he got elected, remember he said, I've got the Team of Rivals book that Kearns Goodwin wrote about Lincoln and the Team of Rivals, and that's going to be how I govern. And he was praising Reagan all the time. And there's a new movie coming out with Reagan, with Dennis Quaid playing President Reagan is coming. But, you know, the Democrats, when Reagan had a summit meeting with Gorbachev, the Soviet premier, in Iceland, Reykjavik, Iceland. And Gorbachev made demands, the Star Wars thing. No Star Wars. And Reagan said no. And Gorbachev said, there's no discussion unless we do that. Reagan left the summit meeting in Iceland. He walked out of the room, got in his car, and was leaving. They started up Air Force One. And you know what the Democrats did? They started, and not just in the media, but the Democrats in Washington, and Biden was one of them, they wanted to impeach Ronald Reagan because he walked out of the summit meeting with Gorbachev. And that moment is what led to the collapse of the Soviet Union, by the way. So the Democrats have, the way they're behaving with Trump, this is not new. The Democrats have had derangement for whatever Republican is popular, whatever Republican is winning. Remember Sarah Palin. Remember Katie Couric? What do you read? What do you get your worldview? You know? Remember all that? They did to Sarah Palin? They were attacking her teenage pregnant daughter. I thought her daughter was going to have a miscarriage. They were putting her through so much. The Democrats are lowlives, okay? They're scum. And they always behave this way. Don't let anyone convince you that they're only acting out this way because of President Trump. That is not true. They always act this way when there's a Republican who stands up to them and wins, whether it's President Lincoln, President Reagan, or President Trump. So I think President Trump is in very good company. All right, guys, well, listen, thanks for joining me again. If you're new to my channel, subscribe. You'll love my content, I promise you. Those of you who are already subscribed, make sure you like the video. My name is Brian Craig. This is where MAGA comes to talk. I'll see you next time.